This is episode 40 of the Business Building Rockstar Show.
You're listening to the Business Building Rockstar Show, where your host, Nicole Holland, gets the lowdown from today's most talented, inspiring, and successful entrepreneurs on what it really takes to reach rockstar status.
Do you want to get your message out in a bigger way by being a guest on a web show or podcast just like this? If you do, text the letters I am ready to 33444, and I will send you free of charge a guide called How to Be a Great Guest. Don't make rookie mistakes that so many people do when they're starting out. Get known as a great guest that hosts search for free by texting I am ready to 33444. So to spell that out, it's the letters I am READY to 33444, and I will send you a complimentary copy of my guide, How to Be a Great Guest. Hey, Nicole Holland here. Thanks for tuning into the Business Building Rockstar Show. I'm so honored and excited to have with me today Patty Farmer. Patty is a powerhouse when it comes to networking, and she shared with me in this interview how she connected with over 100,000 people in just 9 months. She also shares heaps of strategies that will help you connect, collaborate, and convert, making more money while designing the lifestyle that you want to live. Get your pen and paper ready because Patty delivers value. Here we go. Hey there, entrepreneur. Welcome to the Business Building Rockstar Show. I am so stoked to have Patty Farmer with me today on the show. Patty is an international speaker, radio host, and best-selling author specializing in marketing and business growth strategies through coaching, mentorship, and consulting. Patty has created a network of over 100,000 connections while teaching thousands of entrepreneurs, coaches, speakers, and authors to connect, collaborate, and convert in less time and make more money while designing the lifestyle they want to live. Patty was recently awarded the International Collaborator of the Year, as well as the Social Media Influencer of the Year, and is known internationally as the Networking CEO. Patty, thank you so much for being here with me today. Are you ready to rock?
I am ready to rock, and I am excited to be here.
Woohoo! Me too. I have been looking forward to interviewing you for a long time, so I am so excited to bring this out to our listeners.
I'm excited too. I've been really waiting for it for a long time too. After your summit that you did several months ago, it was literally, and I'm just going to tell you here in front of everybody, it was hands down the best I've ever seen, the best I've ever heard. It was orchestrated well. Visually, it was beautiful. Content, it was wonderful. You did an amazing, amazing job.
I love that. Thank you so much. It means so much to me. And I'm really excited that you're going to be on our next summit.
Me too.
So, November 2016. And listeners, I will be sharing details about that as the date gets closer. You can also always get information by signing up to my email list at bbrshow.com, and I will keep you posted. But Patty, why don't you fill in the blanks? I gave you a little bit of an overview with your bio. Why don't you let our listeners know more about who you are, what you do, and how you serve?
Sure. Oh, and I love the way you said that, how you serve, because it's really all about service. To be serve, not sell is really my mantra. And so I love that you did that. Thank you so much. So for me, about 8 years ago, I moved to Dallas, Texas. I'm from Las Vegas. And my husband came home one day and said that he got transferred and we were moving. And that was a big deal for me. I had 2 businesses that were brick and mortar, a marketing company as well as a mortgage company at that time, and that was in 2008. And we all know what happened in 2008 in the mortgage business. So all of a sudden, we were moving, and I got to Dallas where they told me it never breaks 100 and it doesn't snow. So we know there was some BS going on there. So I got here, and now you have to know that this had been my business for a long, long time. And to be honest, I was pretty successful. But life changes, right? And I sent my husband off to work the first day and did what most girls would do. I sat down and had a pity party. And after that, I thought to myself, Patty, here is the thing that is so important. And here's what I realized, that we know that people do business with people they know, like, and trust, right? And even though some people will say they're B2B, business to business, and some will say they're B2C, business to consumer, the reality is that we're in the people business. And so here I was, whining. And instead of whining, I put my big girl panties on and I stood up and I thought, you know what, Patty? You are in a Metroplex. You're in the DFW Metroplex, which is huge, and it is full of people and you don't know any of them. So what an opportunity, right? And so I was excited about that. How many times in your business have you ever thought, oh, if I could do it over again, I would do it differently. So this was a great opportunity for me to do that. So I went to my refrigerator and I put 100,000 on my refrigerator. And when my husband came home, he was like, what's this? And I said, I made a decision today. In 1 year, I am going to meet 100,000 people and I'm going to make $100,000. My husband's like, oh, I like that goal. And so, and there it started. And so I realized that in order to make that goal, because I do come from a service model, right? I just knew that I had to get out there and meet people. And that's what I did. And Dallas has some amazing, amazing people here. I actually met my goal in 9 months. But more importantly than that, it changed my life and my business forever. Like forever. Totally a game changer. Move the needle, everything.
That's incredible. 9 months, 100,000 people. In what way did it change things for you?
Well, it changed things for me because it really made me realize that a lot of times we get in business, and as an entrepreneur especially, and a small business owner, sometimes our business owns us. You know, I always like to say that, you know, when you're an entrepreneur, that you actually give yourself permission to work 80 hours a week so you don't have to work for somebody else 40, right? We've heard that before. But here's the thing, and it is now my mission in life, really, is to help people to design the lifestyle you want to live and build a business that supports that, not the other way around. So many times we have a business, and really, honestly, it doesn't always support our lifestyle. You need to do the lifestyle first. That is true freedom, is when you have the lifestyle you want. That's not going to be the same for me or for you or for somebody else. We have to decide, what does that lifestyle mean for you? And once I could do that, so that's what it did for me. It made me stop and think and go, okay, Patty, you know, you really took you a while to build that business in Las Vegas. Do you really want to work that hard again? And I just realized that that's not what I wanted. My children were raised now. My husband and I were here in Dallas, and my kids, you know, were all raised and gone. And I just thought, I just want to do it differently. I don't want it to be the way it was where I worked so many hours. And so I told myself, I'm going to do it differently. So right from the beginning, I told myself I wasn't going to go into a brick and mortar business. I told myself I was going to work from home. My husband already was off on the weekends, and so I told myself I wasn't going to work on Fridays. Friday was going to be Patty Day, and I felt like if I had Friday for Patty, then I could 100% be present with my husband on the weekends without thinking about, oh, wow, I need to get my nails done, or oh, I have this I need to do, or I need to go run and pick up those blacks, or whatever the case may be, because I already had Patty Day on Friday. And then the other thing that I decided was that, and this is kind of a writer-downer if somebody is thinking about their business. Here's what happens a lot of times, especially in the networking space. What happens is people run all over the place. Like we're running all over. And as women, and hey, I know men, sometimes you have to get ready too, but for us, you know, makeup, hair, all that stuff, then we're running all over town. And so you know that by the time you go to a hour meeting, sometimes it took you like 90 minutes by the time you had to get ready and drive, right, for that 1 hour meeting. And I thought, you know what? You're in the strategy business, Patty. You're a marketing strategist. You need to have a strategy for this too. So what I did was I told myself that if I really wanted to meet that goal and meet 100,000 people, I couldn't do it one-on-one. So what I did is I started networking, but then I realized that in the old school thinking, I hope nobody gets mad, but in the old school model of networking, it was, oh, it all doesn't happen here. It all happens at the coffee shop, and let's all pass out business cards, right? And how many times have you ever gone to a coffee shop and when you walked out, you thought, wow, there's an hour of my life I'll never get back, right? I mean, we all have, right? But here's why. Because we didn't know why we were going to have coffee first. So we needed a strategy first. And social media is really wonderful about that, right? So I just said, I need to have a better strategy. So I just decided that when I attended events, it took just as much time to meet 10 people for coffee as it did to meet one, and that I could do a lot of it virtually too. Like I needed to know why. Why was I meeting them? What was the reason? And so I learned to ask better questions. And as I asked better questions, you get better answers. And I was really able to fine tune, really honestly, down to 4 things. If I knew 4 things about somebody and I could ask them that in 5 minutes, I would really know what I needed to do. And now I actually teach that, and I'm more than happy to share. But 4 questions. If I had to answer those 4 questions, that's all I need to know, and we could then go into relationship building. 4 questions, and we could go into relationship building. And that has really been the backbone of my business, and I think that is what has enabled me in the time that I've been here to literally triple my business in actuality than what I did in Las Vegas, and literally triple my business in about less than a third the time.
Wow.
Was just being strategic about my relationship building.
That's awesome. And, I love that you really talk about how you're writing the rules. And listeners, I want to really point that out, that there is no rule for you other than the one that you create. Just because it's always done a certain way or because the leaders in the field are telling you to do it, you totally have the ability to design your business completely around what you want out of life. It's about getting that big picture and then going after it and taking inspired and intentional actions that are congruent with what that vision is, right?
Absolutely. Because a lot of times we spend time with people. There are so many people, right? There's a lot of people in the world, and you have to have an abundant mentality and really be thinking about serving, and you have to decide, what is it that I'm going to do? Because with social media now, it's all about sound bites, all about relevant value. And the number one thing that I really learned is that it isn't just enough to connect with people. People don't want to just connect. They don't want to just be a number. Really, they just really don't. It needs to be more than that. When you think about it, just think about Facebook. We'll just look at Facebook for 1 second. How many people, when you look at your Facebook feed, are you thinking, I don't even know who that person is? When's the last time you had a conversation? Not just on the phone, or maybe it's even in Messenger, whatever the case may be. But if you just looked at the names in the feed, do you know what they do? Do you know where they live? Have you segmented your Facebook feed into a list so you do know? Right? What is that thing? Because here's the thing. One of the ways that I did it, just one example. I was going to speak in New York City, and on my way, I put one post to New York, and I said, hey, I'm going to be coming to New York, and I would love to meet you. I want to see Grand Central Station. I heard there's an amazing restaurant there, and I would love to meet you. Show up and let's get to know each other better. Wow. 176 people showed up. 150 people at the event I spoke at, but 176 people showed up at the restaurant.
Wow.
It was great. Everywhere I go now, that is what I do. And what makes me be able to do it is because every single person on my Facebook, all my Facebook friends are actually in a list by where they live, what, industry, what we have in common, all of those things, so that I am always speaking to them and giving them relevant value. That's a stick strategy, right? Why should they stick by you? Kind of like your list. Why should they stay on your list after they subscribe? What's the relevant value you're providing, right?
Huge golden nugget there. I know for myself, Facebook, I love Facebook, but it's overwhelming. And with, I don't know what algorithms or whatever, but this last 6 to 8 months has been insane. I can't see any of the content or the posts from people who I actually want to. And I'm like, what the heck is going on in their world? And then I have to think through my thousands of people. Okay, who can I look up? And I haven't really gotten a hold of or a grasp on this segmenting thing. So I love you mentioned that, and I'm going to start implementing it.
It is powerful because when you think about it, how many times will you see where somebody will post something and it's happening in Wisconsin and, you live in New York and you're like, why am I even seeing that? Cause, you know what I mean? I mean, that just takes up space. And so I have to tell you, you only have so much time. When I get on social media, I need to get on there and I want to know. So groups are fabulous, right? But not just that, but because my list is segmented, I could get on there and say, oh, I have 5 minutes. What are all the speakers I know doing? Click, look at the speakers, and I just get to see them in my feed. Oh, well, I'm looking at doing a magazine. Oh, well, let me see who all the magazine publishers, what are they doing? Oh, boom, let me see those. Segment your list. You get to see everything you want all at one time.
That's so fantastic.
Beautiful.
How much time did that take you? Because I know I've thought about lists, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to take days. So, how did you chip away at that and make it work for you?
Well, if you have a lot and you have, if you have a lot of people and you go back, but I always try to tell people you can do it a little bit at a time. Here's a little tip. So you know how on Facebook, so this is the Facebook tip. So on Facebook, you know how on the side we have everybody's birthday? Every day, it's 20 people you know's birthday, whatever. So here's what you can do, and in a year you'll have it all done. Not that you don't want to get it done sooner, but I'm just saying this is a way that if that overwhelms you, that you could do it slow and steady. So you can just look at the birthday, and every day this is what I do. I look at the birthdays, and when I'm looking at them, I do one of three things. I click on their name and I say, what do we have in common? And then all you do is drop the drop box that says friends, and then it says add them to a list. And then I just decide what do they need to be in. Are they a speaker? Are they in marketing? Do they blog? What are the common denominators that we have? Are they a radio host? Do they have a podcast? Whatever those things are. Or I look at them and go, I don't even know why we're connected. I don't even know why we were ever connected, or it just doesn't apply anymore. And then I unfriend them. Mm-hmm. Right? So every day I have an action. They either get added to a list or they get unfriended, like one or the other. Clean your list. If you just did that every day, that one teeny little thing, by the time a year was done, every single person on your list would be or not be, and they would all be in the correct tag.
I love that. Totally done. This is going on my never-ending to-do list. Because it really,
but it's a 5-minute thing. Simple.
It is. Yeah, you're making it so simple. Now,
and make sure that you put where they live too. Mm-hmm. Like when I do it, so like in Texas, the 4 major cities, San Antonio, Dallas, Austin, and Houston. So I put everybody in where their closest city is. That way, if you're going there to visit or you're a speaker or whatever the case may be, then you can just pull that up and say, hey, I'm going to be in town, yada, 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 and then you get just the people that are there. And then here I'm going to tell you another tip, too, about that, just so that you know. It's always good to know what not to do. It is what to do, right? Totally. So I know that we all have those people that we really don't want them to see what we're posting, right? Don't we all have those? Could be family. It also could be maybe, I don't believe in competition. I actually believe in collaboration. But we do know that we all have, I'm sure we all have, the stalker people who like to follow everything you do and copy you, whatever the case may be, right? We all have them. You can actually put them in a list too and call it a secret list. And then everything you post, you could say, I want everybody to see it except them. And then Facebook will not let them see it.
Oh, interesting. I don't know. I can't even think of anybody I would want to keep secret, but I totally see the value in that. I just delete and block people that are stalking me.
Well, I do too, but sometimes there's, I don't want to say that you might want to unfriend them, but you can't because, you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or whatever the case may be.
No, it totally makes sense. That's awesome. And I'm totally going to do this because I'm not sure exactly when this interview is going to air, probably before Podcast Movement, but I know I'm going to Podcast Movement. Are you going to Podcast Movement?
I think I am going to Podcast Movement. I have to check it against my speaking schedule. This year, I'm out of the country speaking 9 times, and so I have a huge speaking schedule this year.
Well, I'm hoping to see you at Podcast Movement, but I'm super stoked. I just bought the tickets the other day, and this will be a great, because I was thinking, how do I connect with all the people? Because there's going to be so many podcasters and radio hosts and everybody there that I really, really want to, say hi to in person.
Do you have a Twitter list of them?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
listen, Patty,
Twitter is my favorite. Okay. I know you're saying that, but Twitter is the best, hands down lead gen tool everywhere. So 74% of my closed business, and that means sales, comes from Twitter, originates from Twitter, and I've never tried to sell anything on Twitter, not ever. I've never had a sales statement ever, but 74%. So I have to tell you, it originates on Twitter, and then you move it to Facebook. That's where you do relationship building, but it originates on Twitter. But here's the great thing about Twitter. What's great about Twitter is every time you follow somebody, you just click that button right there, and you can put them in a list. But here's what's really great. There's private lists and there's public lists. I have a list of I think 750 podcasters, people who have radio shows, people who have blasts, people who have periscopes, people who are speakers, authors, publishers, media, all of those, and they're private. And then guess what happens when I meet somebody or I have a client or whatever, and that's who they need to be connected to. It's let me just introduce you to 500 of them right now.
That's awesome. I love it. I'm totally going to start implementing these tips and tools, or these tips and strategies. This is amazing. And I just want to point out too that something that I fell into, because I've only been doing this for less than a year, right? And I only got on, so again, we're recording in April. I only got on Twitter, I think September. So it's not even been close to a year yet. And there's so many things that I learn about social media that I'm like, yes, this makes so much sense. Yes, I want to do this. Yes, I know it works, but I also have to keep things really in perspective and going, I cannot do everything. So I love what you're saying about listen. It's like, for me, it's time to do that. But I want to stress to our listeners that do not try and do everything at once. You've got to really pick and say, what's important to me, and focus on just getting that one thing done, and then the next thing, and then the next thing.
And most importantly, they need to decide where they need to be. Because I think what happens is nowadays in the social media world, people think, oh my gosh, we have Instagram and now we have Snapchat. Where can I be everywhere? And I get asked that. That's probably the number one thing I get asked more than anything. You know, social media strategy is part of marketing strategy. Mm-hmm. And people ask me that, and here's my answer. Where should you be? You should be where your potential clients are. Where do your potential clients hang out? That's where you should be. So if that is overwhelming for you, pick one and do it really well. Mm-hmm. And once you have that down really well, then pick another. Really honestly, I have to tell you, even though really honestly I'm in the social media space, I spend very little time on a few of them. There's a few of them that I hardly am ever on. I post something like once a day, but I don't really spend very much time there. It's not really where my audience is, but I want to have a presence there, but I don't really hang out there. Mm. You know, Twitter's really where I hang out. I love Twitter, and that's actually my signature tip, to be totally honest. I'm going to tell you, if you want an action takeaway, that every single person, if they do this one thing, I actually teach this at every speech, every time I talk. This is my signature tip. Ready?
Yes.
So picture your business card. And everybody's different, right? Mm-hmm. So think of this one thing. When you meet somebody, and everybody gets to the point where, you know, you're going to exchange business cards or not, right? Whatever. But if you do, here's the one question. Everything we do should have a call to action, right? Mm-hmm. Every single thing should have a call to action. So here's your call to action. All you have to do is this. So think of all the stacks of business cards everybody has, and they're like, yes, I know. But you never will again if you do this one thing. So here it is. So picture your business card in your mind right now, and I'm just going to show you what mine is, and you can change yours for yours. But for me, the top right corner of my business card is Twitter. The bottom right corner is LinkedIn. The bottom left corner is Instagram, and the top left corner is for Facebook. So for you, it might be Pinterest or, you know, whatever the case may be. So you just have to know what your corners are. They don't have to be the same as mine. As long as you know them, that's all you need to know. Every time you meet somebody, here's the last question. When you exchange business cards, here's what you say. So, Nicole, what's your favorite social media platform? Where do you hang out? And say you said to me, Twitter. Then what I would do is when you walked away, I'd take your business card, I'd fold the corner on the top right corner that I know is Twitter. And then all that tells me is I don't need to connect with you everywhere. All I need to do is connect you where you just told me you hang out. Just because I may be on Facebook all the time, if you tell me you're on Twitter, why would I connect with you on Facebook when you just got done telling me you were on Twitter? So if you have a stack of business cards when you go home and all you had to do was look at the corner and know where to connect with them, that one thing, how much easier would that make your follow-up?
Wow, total takeaway. And I am actually going to 2 live events today after I finish recording interviews. So I am going to start implementing this immediately.
Awesome. I love it.
Yes. Fantastic. So, oh my gosh. Where is the time gone? I've got a few, I'm going to ask you like a bunch of quick fire questions. Sure. And then we'll wrap up with you letting people know how to connect with you further and reach out to you. Other than Twitter. Okay. We all know you're on Twitter.
Okay.
Okay. I want to still ask you one more question about this. So when you're talking about all these lists and things like this and how you're making most of your money through connections that you have made on Twitter, you have systems and you have things that are supporting you in the background. And those didn't just happen. You actually created those, right? Like the list, it takes time, right?
Yes, but I find that if you decide what you're going to do in the beginning, like, you know, if you have 5,000 friends on Facebook, am I telling you that you should take a week of your life and go through them? No, you have to have a way to be able to do it a little at a time. That's why I said the birthday thing. You just have to know that you need to decide what your criteria is, and you have to start somewhere. A lot of times people get overwhelmed and they do nothing. Do something. Even if it's a baby step, it's a step, right?
No, but let's talk about somebody who hasn't got anybody. Maybe they've got 100 people. They're just starting out, and
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's so exciting. So what would you say for them would be the best way to start building out those systems and those supportive structures so that they are ahead of the game like you were?
Oh, great. So from a social media standpoint, I would say create lists for sure. On LinkedIn, you can tag people. On Twitter, like every single person you connect with should be in a list of something. So that was what I would do on social media for sure, making sure you do that. It takes 5 seconds when you're hitting follow to just hit the Dropbox and put them in another list, right? That takes 5 seconds. So that'll make your life so much easier. But before you do that, the question you need to ask yourself is, what are the categories? So think of it like a blog post, right? What are my categories, or what are my keywords, and think of it first as, who do you serve, right? Who do you serve? And those would obviously be categories, right? So for me, like speaker, authors, coaches, like whatever those are. Maybe you are a local business and really it's in an area, right? So those would be the things that I would do there. Then I would think about hashtags. Hashtags are very, very important. I would love to tell people that really utilizing hashtags is very, very important to your business. I would love to give people visual, especially when we're on a podcast and they can't see me. But when you think about it, here is a visual definition to really use hashtags. Is all of social media, think of it like your Twitter. It's a file cabinet. And your goal is every piece of information goes into a file. And by using a hashtag, basically what you're doing is you're putting your file at the front of the door. That's what you're doing. And that's what we want to do, right? Is have our file at the front of the door. So when people go to get information and they open that file cabinet, ours is in the front of the door. So that's what you want to do for that. So making sure that you spend your time there. And if you're not on social media from a marketing point of view, I think it is really, really important. The number one thing is to get really clear on who your client is. First thing, who is your client and where are they? Those are the two clear things that you have to know, and they make everything else work so much better. Those are the two most important questions. Oh, and the third one, I would say the third question is, what's your why? Have a very clear reason why, so that whenever you have the time where you don't feel like doing anything, you can look at your why, and that'll actually make you pick up the phone or get out of the house or get on social media or do all the things that maybe you don't want to do if your why is strong enough. So you have to know what your why is.
So awesome. Love it, love it, love it. So I would love to know, what is your favorite online tool outside of social media that helps you to run your business?
Evernote for sure. Evernote for sure. Like, I don't know what I would do if I didn't use Evernote. It actually organizes absolutely everything. So I would say that would be the number one thing for me. And the cloud, keeping everything in the cloud. So Dropbox. So yeah, Dropbox too.
And what about book? Is there a favorite book that you have?
So I have to tell you, I read a book a week minimum.
Wow.
I'm really in personal growth, and business growth. So I actually have lots and lots of books. So I'm really all about the reading for me. So I would have to say, what are some of the ones? So Trust Funnel is something I'm reading. I just got done reading that was really, really good. I really liked that one. Ask was a really good book.
Awesome. And so let me now ask you, how can people connect with you and get more from you?
Sure. So I do spend most of my time on Twitter, which is at Patty Farmer, and Patty's with a Y. So at Patty Farmer. But if they go to my website, pattyfarmer.com, it'll actually tell them everywhere they can get a hold of me. So wherever they hang out, that works for me. And I would really love to be able to connect and have a conversation and answer any questions if they have any.
Awesome. And you have such a robust site. It's got so many resources and so much information. And I'm happy to also post about that in the show notes at bbrshow.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for hanging out. And I'm looking forward to hanging out with you on the summit as well, and perhaps in person at Podcast Movement.
I would absolutely love that. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to serve your audience.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, make sure to subscribe on iTunes so that you don't miss another episode. And if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. And if you want to catch up on past episodes, it's super easy to do when you subscribe on iTunes. Also, we're on Stitcher. And of course, you can visit bbrshow.com for all of the episodes, show notes, and more. I would love to hear what you think about today's episode by leaving a review on iTunes, or also you can go go to bbrshow.com, and on our show notes page, there is a comment section. Dear listeners, I do this show for you, so the more you let me know what you love, the more I can bring you that. Don't forget that the Business Building Rockstar Show releases every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So 3 times per week, you can listen in to what the journey towards rockstar status entrepreneurship is really like. Until next time, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I look forward to connecting again real soon.
And there you have it. If you enjoyed this episode of the Business Building Rockstars Show, be sure to subscribe on iTunes so you don't miss a thing. And visit bbrshow.com for all the show notes and links to resources discussed on today's show. Plus, lots more.